Greetings and salutations, my lovelies. I hope you're all having a wonderful day or evening, depending on where you are. And in celebration of Mother's Day, I want to take some time to not only pay tribute to my own mother, but also talk a bit about the drawing that I made for her this year. So, to kick things off, my mom was, I can only describe as a perfectly imperfect individual. She had some bad qualities, most of which were a product of untreated and unsupported mental illness that she sadly didn't get many opportunities to properly address or take care of throughout her life, and caused her to make several mistakes and bad choices, both regarding those around her and herself. But she was also, in many more ways, a very good person. She was a genuinely kind, caring, loving, and talented, intelligent, and overall wonderful person. She also was really funny too. Super duper funny and quirky. She, again, while being very flawed in several ways, was definitely more so a very beautiful and amazing person, inside and out. And she absolutely loved things like shows, movies, music, and books, and literature. Some of her favorite musicians were Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac, or musical artists rather. And as for movies, she loved things like Gone with the Wind and The Hobbit and all that jazz. Oh, she also loved Lord of the Rings too. In regards to TV shows, she loved a lot of like 80s and just old-timey sitcoms like Facts of Life, Different Strokes, Alf, and also The Goldbergs, which I know is a Mermaid thing. I'll get to that in a bit. But those are like some like shows that she liked. And she also as well loved Stephen King in regards to like literature. All in all, she was just a huge fan of anything that was like old-timey, retro, or considerably vintage. She was not a big fan of modern culture or modern media. There were like a few exceptions, again, like the Goldbergs and stuff, which technically weren't like made in the 80s or made like during her time, but when they weren't around when she was growing up or anything, but they had like that general vibe and that general feel of like older shows that she liked, so she liked those too. So anything that pretty much either replicated or tried to like replicate the 80s or 90s and stuff like that and pay tribute to it, or anything that just pretty much came from that time period from like the 60s all the way up to the 90s, she was a fan of, at least for a majority of her life anyway. And she also as well loved the ocean, she loved tropical things, and she loved the sea and mermaids and stuff, most likely because she grew up by the ocean and she grew up by the beach as a kid growing up. So that probably gave her a lot of like homey feelings and a lot of nostalgia, which is why she not only collected a bunch of stuff that was themed after that, but also tried to decorate like her spaces and stuff like that with decor and items that were themed around that as well. And I would have to say, in spite of like her aforementioned flaws and not being a perfect person by any and all means, I still could not have asked for a better mom than her. Because between her and my biological father, she was definitely, for one thing, the more involved of the two, and she at least had good intentions behind a lot of the things, good and bad, that she did in her lifetime, and both as a parent and just as an individual. Again, I just couldn't be any more thankful for that. I could not be any more thankful for her involvement in my life, and I would not ask for anyone else to be my mom, honestly. I would not ask for another mom, honest to God. She will always be my one and only mother, and she will always be the best mom I could have honestly ever asked for all of the time and effort and wisdom that she so generously bestowed upon me in helping to shape me into the kind of person I am today, and all the good memories that we had and the amazing strong bond that me and her shared that has even lasted after her departure. Because like there are times where I'll be like feeling really bad, or I'll be like in a really bad situation, and I'll just feel her. I'll feel like a comforting, familiar presence that reminds me of her, which leads me to believe. And I'll also as well like see her in my dreams and stuff too from time to time, like just at random. And it's things like that, on top of what she had raised me to believe, in that if you love someone enough and they love you in turn, then even in death, they will never be truly gone, and they will always be with you no matter what type of mentality and type of deal. For reasons like that, I firmly believe she is still with me. And with that said, because she's still with me, there's no reason why I shouldn't continue to celebrate Mother's Day, or really take on any opportunity to show her my love and appreciation and keep her close. In fact, it's doing things like this that definitely have helped me with processing my grief and processing my own feelings with her having passed away. Because, by the way, for those of you who are unaware, my mom passed away in August of 2022. I forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, she's been gone for almost 2 years now. And again, doing things like this, keeping her memory alive and paying tribute to her when and where I can, and continuing to love her like I do, has definitely helped me to not only process my grief and get through hard times without her, but it also as well makes me feel good knowing that, because, okay, for context, one of my mom's biggest fears when she was alive was being forgotten for one reason or another. And so doing things like this, drawing for her and talking about her and sharing her stories and whatnot, and her continuing her legacy, I feel is not only what she would have wanted, but it also is my way of making sure that her biggest fear, or one of her biggest fears, doesn't become a tragic reality or something like that. Because that's not what she deserves. I don't feel like that's what she deserves. I feel she deserves so much better than that. In fact, she deserved better in life, but she didn't get that in life, so the least I can do now that she's gone is make sure that, you know, again, she's not forgotten and that she's remembered and she continues to be loved and cherished and treasured like I feel she deserves to be. So, with that said, when drawing the drawing of which you are seeing me create in this video, well, some things I took into account are, when drawing her in particular, I wanted to kind of do a Has-Been Hotel thing, where, for those of you who don't know anything about Has-Been Hotel, it's a show that takes place in hell primarily, but there's also aspects of it or parts of it that take place in heaven too. And a lot of the spirits in heaven that end up in heaven and or hell take on forms that are representative or are influenced by aspects of their living life. Like, there's some symbolism there. So when thinking about it, I thought, well, something that I think that would be fitting for my mom would be, because I could see my mom definitely having like this angelic mermaid type of form in heaven. Because I mean, for one thing, like I said, while she was a very flawed individual, she was still a very good person that I think deserves to be in heaven. I personally believe that she deserves a place in heaven, so that's where the angel part comes from. I just feel like she's my guardian angel. With that being said, she is in fact an angel in heaven. But in terms of like what form, like what else would influence her like new form, probably again the whole mermaid thing, because my mom again loved mermaids and she grew up by the ocean and she had a lot of good memories by the sea and all that jazz as a kid growing up. So, you know, again, that's kind of where the whole like angelic mermaid form that I gave my mom in this drawing came from. And I also as well wanted to continue with the ocean theming and the sea theming by having me on the bottom half of the drawing at like the beach with the palm trees and everything. I was originally going to do regular trees and have me be like in the middle of like a floral like flower field, but I do that a lot as is, and I want to do something different. And again, I wanted to really like kind of lean more towards the ocean beach theming, so I opted out of the floral flower field with trees and stuff in the garden and everything, and instead just went for a beach instead. As for the upper half of the drawing, where I drew my mom looking down on me from above, I tried making the clouds kind of like a beach as well, decorated with pearls and seashells, and the night sky on like the top half of the drawing. I tried making the night sky look kind of like a sea of stars with aquatic patterning, I guess, or like ripples in like the night sky water, in addition to like little like fishy spirits or little fishy souls just swimming around in like, again, the big expansive sea of stars that they all live in along with my mom now, and have the moon like be like this crescent moon with like a seashell for like the darker half of it, kind of like what I did with the other drawing I did for my mom, because I did a drawing for my mom last October, like in October of 2023, where I did something similar, where it was like where I had like a crescent moon, and the dark side of the moon was represented by a seashell. And that's, honestly, God, there's not really much other thought that went into this drawing of, and yeah, that's pretty much it, at least for my thoughts and my notes on both the drawing and my mom as a whole. And this video is already long enough as is. I don't want to make it go on for like freaking ever. With that said, I hope you all have a absolutely lovely rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are, and I will be hopefully seeing you around.